How's it going, everyone? This is Mr. Morales. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate some intermediate skills in Microsoft Excel. First of all, let's explain this spreadsheet. As an example, I have this spreadsheet. It's actually a grade sheet, and I have students' names, just random names, and I have some skills or some projects, or along with the points that they can obtain and their scores. Our goal is to fill some of these things in, and we'll start by numbering. On the left hand side, I don't have numbers. I'll start by pressing 1 and 2. I can select that range. I can use the fill handle, which is the black cross, drag all the way down, and now I have numbering on the side of the names. As you can see, some names are not, it's not alphabetical, so I can alphabetize it by doing a sort, what's called a sort. I select the range. I make sure that I select even the scores, because everything will be sorted. Now I go to the data tab, and under the sort and filter group, I have the A through Z sort smallest to largest, Z to A sort largest to smallest. I'm going to click A through Z, and it's already sorted through the numbering. So if I go sort largest to smallest, it'll be sorted starting with 20. But what happens if I want to sort by last name? I select just from last name all the way down. I click A through Z. Now I just sorted by last name, but my numbering is off. So I can once again change the numbering. I want to apply some formatting. Formatting or format basically means changing the look and feel. I'm going to change the formatting of this text that says grade sheet. I'm going to increase, I'll change the font, increase the font size, and I'm just doing some random things here. Change the font color, change the shading, I can italicize. There's just a number of things I can do. Now what I want to show you is merging and centering a cell. So in a merge and center, I'm selecting, after I'm done with my formatting, I'm selecting the entire area that I want to merge and center. And pretty much what I'm doing is, it's like if I'm creating one big cell and I'm centering this text throughout this range. In order to do that, I simply just click on the Merge and Center button, which is under the Home tab and under the Alignment group. And now I'm centering, I merged and centered the text grade sheet, and notice that the formatting was used for the entire range. Next, let's add the totals. This should be a review. I go to Auto Sum. I verify that that's the proper range. Press the Enter button, I use the the fill handle, click and drag. Now I have totals. I also apply totals to the top items. This is the total amount of points that can be obtained. Now I want to apply a percentage. I want to see what the grade percentage is for each of these students or people. I start on cell I4. You may start there, or you may start on a different cell depending on your spreadsheet. But I want my result here, so that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to create a formula, and my formula will start with equal sign. I will click on the first cell of the total. I will divide by the total number of points, which I will click on that cell. And from previous video, I know that I have to do what's called an absolute cell reference, meaning that the H2 in this case, in this example, H2 will never change. I will always be referencing H2. So if I'm always referencing H2, I need to put under the formula bar a $sign, and this signifies that this cell reference does not change, as opposed to these other cell references. H4 in this case will change. I press enter. Now I use the fill handle, and now I have the grades. So my first person has a 0.65, which is 65%, or a D. Second person has 0.7 or 70%, which is a C. Now if I want to modify the formatting of this range to actually get percentages, I can. Under the Home tab, Number Group, I have several ways to modify the numbers. I can click on the down arrow under Number Format, and here I have a list of formatting. I also have some basic commands here, and as you can see, one of those basic commands is the percent style. I click on percent style, and now I have my grade in percentage format. Now what I want to do is apply conditional formatting, and that is modifying the format of cells depending on a condition. So if I look at my spreadsheet, if I look at the grades, I want to know automatically who has an F, or who is failing the class. So I select my range, and I go to Conditional Formatting under the Home tab, under the Styles group. The first item on the list says Highlight Cells Rules, and then I'm going to go to less than. So what I want to do is, whenever there's a percentage that is 50%, or actually less than 60%, I want to apply a condition, a formatting condition, meaning the color will change. And here I have the option of changing the different colors. I can have a red border, or you can custom format. I'll choose the first formatting with a light red fill and dark red text. I'll click OK, and notice whenever this is done automatically, so if I have someone else that I modify their scores, it'll automatically change the formatting depending on the condition. Next, I want to insert a chart. A chart is a graphical representation of data. So before I insert a chart, I need to select some of my data. And I want to make sure that in my chart I'm able to see the first name and each of the different projects. I also want to see the scores. So I select the data accordingly. Once I select my data, I go to the Insert tab, and under the Charts group I have a number of different charts that I can use. In this case I'll choose a column or bar chart. I click on the down arrow and I have many more choices here. If I put the mouse over some of these choices, I can see how things will look. I'll choose the first clustered column 2D column chart. I click on that. I click and drag my chart. I can also increase the width, increase the height. There's many things I can do. I can modify the chart title. I can also notice that when I click on the chart, I get two new tabs, Chart Tools Design tab and Chart Tools Format tab, and gives me more functionality, and I'm able to modify and change things on my chart. I'm also able to change the layout of my chart a bit. So let me decrease it a bit here. And what I'm going to do is under the Design tab, all the way closer to the left, under Chart Layouts, I'm going to click on Quick Layout, and I'm going to choose the first layout, Layout 1. And what that does is it's going to uh, it's going to position the legend all the way to the right. The legend makes it easy to identify column data markers and what data they represent. So uh, if we see, for example, this project, it's blue. It symbols or signifies the color blue. I'm able to see each of the students and where they are in terms of that project. Okay, on the left hand side we have the numbers or the scores. At the bottom we have the students, and once again, the chart is a graphical representation of the data. Okay, let's click out of our chart. Now towards the bottom of our spreadsheet, notice that I'm under sheet 1. I'm going to double click on sheet 1, and it's going to highlight sheet 1, and I'm going to change the name of it to grade sheet. And now I'm going to go to sheet 2. I'll double click sheet 2, and notice how I also went to sheet 2, and I'm going to rename sheet 2 to attendance. So I'm able to change the names. I can also add a new sheet by clicking on the plus sign. Okay, so now what I want to do is create an attendance sheet. So I'll go to grade sheet, and I'll copy some of this text. I select the text, I go to copy. Now I can go to my other sheet. I can click on the cell. I can click on the paste. Alright, now what I want to do is delete some of this data. I select the data and I press delete on the keyboard. I'm going to undo so I can show you another method. In the case that I just want to remove a column, I go to the top of the column heading, or right on top of it. I right click, and under the menu I can click delete, and notice it shifts everything over. I can do the same thing with a row. I can delete, let's say, row 15, or actually row 18. This is number 15. Row 18. I can click on it and notice how it selects the entire row, and then I can right click on it, click delete, and notice how it shifts everything. At this point I would have to renumber, and now I only have 19. But going back, let's delete all that content. And now what I want to do is create an attendance sheet. So I want to type in some dates, and I can just start with, February. I could just do random, February 19th, and when I click on the date I can use the fill handle to fill in more dates. Okay, the purpose of an attendance sheet is to take attendance for an entire class. So just for simplicity purposes I just put 4 dates, but I can just continue putting dates for as long as the class is. Next I want to just randomly put some tardy and absent. I'm going to type tardy and absent randomly in different locations, different cells. Let's get one more date in there. Let's type absences, tardies, and now what I want to do is count how many absences I have and how many tardies I have. The way I do that is by using what's called a COUNTIF formula, or COUNTIF function I should say. And the COUNTIF function counts the cells that match a certain criteria. I start where I want my result. I want my result on this cell, so I click on that cell, and now I start by typing =, count if. I notice it's here on the list. I double click on it and it's asking me for a range. I select the proper range. I type comma. Now it's asking me for the criteria. I press space, and in quotation marks I will put absent, end quotation mark, close parenthesis. I press enter, and I notice that for my first student he's absent one time, so it gives me the number 1. If I do the fill handle, it'll show me all the absences. So this person's absent 3 times, and here it shows me 3. I can do the same thing under tardies. Count if. The range will be same range. This time I will use the word tardy. And I use the fill handle, and now I can see how many absences and tardies each student has. This finalizes the video. Thank you for watching.